Hello everybody and welcome back to RDAs Trains. My name is Cory and happy 600 subscribers. It's really late by the time I'm posting this, but better late than never. So in my old 600 subscriber video, I asked you guys to give me a bunch of questions you'd like to know because it's a Q&A. That's what we're doing for 600 subscribers, and you guys asked some really nice questions. So we're going to be getting to those shortly. Before we get moving on, if you're new to my YouTube channel, please click that red subscribe button down below so you don't miss out on any of my future videos that are just like this and the many other train videos that I do featuring real life trains, model trains, live steam, and so much more. So make sure you don't miss out. So I'm gonna go in order the way I see the comments. I'm not sure, it could be different for you guys because it may be like a different order or something like that, but we'll get to everyone's comment. Strictly Steam asks, here's a few questions. What was your first model train, and how big is your model layout, the dimensions, and what is your favorite spot to Railfan? So first off, my very first model train, it's kind of tricky because my grandfather, I believe, I'm starting to think otherwise, but my grandfather gave me a bunch of his Lionel trains, I think at once actually, but the train that I've always called my trainer, my first train, is my Lionel MPC era 8600 New York Central Hudson, which is I believe made in the mid 70s. That was my first train and I've always liked it, and it's never let me down either. Even though it doesn't make sounds anymore and it just rolls fine and looks great. Now my layout here is a 12 by 8 layout, so it's 3 plywood boards put together to make a very big long rectangle. I could have packed a lot more onto it, like I could have gotten rid of the town and put a whole yard over here, but I'm much more of a scenery person myself. I find wiring, anything to do with wiring, super hard versus scenery. I've always kind of liked arts and stuff like that, so it's not very hard for me at least. My favorite spot to Railfan, there's a lot of questions that are asked this, but my favorite spot to Railfan is White's Beach Road, which is a decent distance from where I live, but the reason I like it so much versus other spots that are so much closer to me is that, number one, the road itself, White's Beach Road, is not very packed at all. So you're not getting much traffic, you're not getting much cars going through your shot, if any car. It's like, depending on what side of the road you're at. And that I love that it's a very long straightaway. You can see very far down it on the south end if you're looking down south. And then you can see the Canadian Pacific signals, and those things will never let you down. I call them the signals of truth because they always tell me when a train's coming. They'll never turn on and then turn off like out of nowhere. And then the other reason I like it is because if you're facing north, it's a nice turn. So the train will come out from over the trees, and it's super cool. 1-800-CLIDE asks, Cory, this may sound like a trivial question, but I've never gotten an answer. Why is a hopper called a hopper? And congrats on 600. Now, I don't know this much myself. I think the theory is that you have your hopper, and I guess it's when things go in it, it prevents little coal drops from hopping out. I really don't know. I don't know either, so we're in the same boat here. Next up, we have Joseph Doyle, who has 2 questions. First, when did you get into railroading? And second, how long have you been working on your layout? Congratulations on 600 subscribers. Now, I was kind of like many other kids. I was born into the hobby, so I can't quite pinpoint it. So we can just say I got into railroading when I was born, which is quite a while back. I've been working on this layout. This layout's been here for 2 years, but I've never done much. The first year of it being built, I barely used it, I barely ran it. All it was is plywood and foam boards, but this is the year that we've really been trying to get this thing done. By the way it looks, it should be done probably by late August, which is super great. So yeah, I've been working on the layout for 2 years, but this year, it's due to the quarantine, I decided to finally try to get it done, and as you can see, it's looking pretty good. Random Railfan says, congrats on 600. I have 2 questions. What is your favorite currently operating Class 1 railroad, And then number 2, Team Steam or Diesel. Now we gotta tackle number 2. Of course I'm Team Steam. Like, how can you not be? Diesels, I love my diesel locomotives, don't get me wrong, but steam locomotives actually feel like, you know, they're alive. It feels like it's a huge behemoth or beast or creature just kind of breathing with the steam flowing at the flowing in and out, and then kind of hearing it move, and then it eats too and it drinks. So I mean, steam locomotives feel like they're alive. And then my favorite currently operating Class 1 railroad is probably gonna be Norfolk Southern. The reason I lean towards Norfolk Southern is just because I've always had, I guess, a friendly relationship or whatever. The guys have always been really kind back to me. Always fun seeing the heritage units. I've been seeing their trains go by forever, and I always loved those big black diesels going by. I thought they were they looked super big and they looked super mean and ready to pull. That's why I love NS. So Sparky107 asks, what made you start doing YouTube videos, and who did you first start watching on YouTube? It's kind of really hard to pin a point on that, but the reason I started doing YouTube videos is because I had my trains on the, and I've always had kind of that creator background or whatever, always filming with like my phone, doing really bad skits that luckily you guys will never have to see, and then just doing other stuff. I've always loved just filming the outsides or filming stuff in my house. So I put the model trains on the ground. I'm like, oh, well, I guess I'll share with my friends that I got the trains out or whatever. Haha, funny, right? Who likes trains? So I put them down on the ground. I started filming with my iPhone, and I'm like, dang, I forgot how much fun playing with trains was. So, and before that, I'd always wanted to create a YouTube channel. It was just a drive, building up more and more and more, seeing other kids like my age, kind of here and there, being really big on YouTube. So I'm like, you know what, I'll try to see if I can make a model railroad channel, and if I can get big on that at all. So I filmed my trains going around and got a few quick laughs for my friends, but then I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna post it on YouTube. So I made the YouTube channel RDAs Trains back in late August of 2018, and I posted my first video. I believe it was my Lionel trains running on the floor, something like that. I can't remember. Insert it here. And then I posted that. I'm like, oh wow, that actually was really fun to film and make. So then I did more. But sadly, I took those videos down due to the whole COPPA or whatever. Like, remember back in January or whatever, when I was gonna go and play. So I thought they were gonna get taken down and be marked as kid-friendly, but sadly those videos don't exist anymore. And then who did I first start watching? I believe I first started watching on this YouTube channel. Like before that, on my other like private channels and stuff, or my private accounts, I just kind of watch whatever. But railroading wise, I started watching Big Jim Video Productions, which he's been doing YouTube videos like forever, but I'd always loved this kind of short styles of narration. I always loved watching the trains go by, and I thought his videos were nice. And the other person I started watching was Railfan. He commented on my Strasbourg video from way back. I decided to check him out because I do that here and there. Check out other people's channels to just reply to my stuff. I want to see what type of outreach I'm getting, and I saw all these Strasbourg videos. I'm like, yes! So I started watching him and Big Jim. Those I think were the first two guys I really started watching train-wise. Next we move on to Jake, aka the Capital Region Railfan. What is your favorite place to railfan and why? White's Beach, and like I said, really cool views. What is your earliest memory of a train in real life? That's a really good question, because there's so many different, I guess, answers, because I can't pinpoint what year I remember these things from. I just know I remember them when I was a little kid. I think my earliest memory of a train from real life was probably when I was in Schenectady, New York, and there used to be this train shop, I believe, called Bob's Model Trains or Bob's Trains, right next to, I can't remember what street it was on, but it was kind of right by, it was kind of like by the main street. And I remember going in and out of there with my grandparents, and I can't remember it too well. I really wish there was some photos or even just an article on it or anything, but there's nothing on this train store. But I remember going in and out of there, and down the street you could see the Amtrak bridge, and I always remember seeing like one or two Amtraks every time I'd go by, slowly but surely build up speed as they were leaving out of the station and going over that bridge. And I always remembered wanting to run after them just to see them. So I think think that was my earliest memory that I can remember of a train in real life, was seeing the Amtrak leaving Old Schenectady Station and going southbound. When did you start getting into making videos? So I assume you mean train videos, and then again, that was kind of, actually, when I first started real life train videos, that was in November of 2018. That was the very first time I saw the Canadian Pacific Holiday Train. I think after I filmed the Canadian Pacific Holiday Train is what got my drive to be like, oh my god, real life trains are so much fun to film. I'll go do them now. And we have RJ from RDAs Trains asking, what are your thoughts on MTH closing, and is there anything MTH you would like to buy before it's impossible to find? Now, that's the thing. Everyone's been putting their input, so I finally should put my input. I mean, you could kind of see MTH if you were like stalking them or whatever. Kind of see MTH starting to go downhill, and then you can kind of reasonably you can kind of connect the points. I think it's really sad because I remember always going to train shows and always seeing the purple MTH boxes, and always wanting to pick up. Same thing with the Lionel Orange, but I always remember seeing MTH boxes and trains everywhere. I think I'm really gonna miss them because without MTH, if MTH never existed, I think Lionel wouldn't be what it is today. And sadly, I don't have anything MTH. I'd absolutely love some stuff, and I'll get to that in a sec, but with MTH coming into the market, Lionel's like, alrighty, we'll see where you end up. And then MTH starts pumping out like some really good trains. They're like, okay, guess we gotta step up. So MTH steps up, and then Lionel's like, already, we gotta step up. Then they keep building up. So MTH pushed Lionel really hard to try to make better and better trains. Then MTH themselves made absolutely great trains with some of the best smoke units and some of the best detail and some of that, all that stuff. So I think it's really sad MTH is going to be going, because it's a part of my, I guess, childhood of always wanting to go to train shows just to pick up the purple MTH boxes. And then what are some locomotives I'd like to buy? It's really tricky because there's tons and tons, but just from the most recent catalog alone, I'd love CP7010, the Heritage unit. Even though I get it's not accurate 100%, that's my favorite Heritage unit, and I'd absolutely love to have it in O-scale and on the layout. That'd be super fun. And MTH makes a bunch of other stuff I really like too, but I feel like I'd have to go on for hours and hours trying to dig and find those trains and then be like, oh, here they are. You bet there's tons of stuff I'd love to buy. RDD Dash asks, oh, when did you get your first train set or train? And like I said before, I believe my first train was my Lionel MPC era New York Central Hudson 8600. And my guy Matt's Trains and Tractors asks, hey man, congrats. On your layout, what's your minimum curve on your layout? Also, are your trains that you run 027 scale or full O? Just wondering because in some of your shots, your trains look a little smaller than my locomotive. On my layout, I believe, like out of the whole thing, the minimum curve is 031 way up there. I believe that back there is a mix of 031 and 036, which is really bad because like the two curves didn't meet, so I had to put little bits to help join them. And then my locomotives, let's keep in mind, are O gauge, like the Camelback. Oh yeah, Camelback, and then Red Comet, and then that. If you guys want me to, I'll gladly do videos on these guys. Now my locomotives aren't, well, this guy is O scale, of course, but the Camelback, but many of my locomotives are 027 or O gauge locomotives, not O scale locomotives, so they're not really sized to the rails or anything. Most of my locomotives, Matt, are O gauge, so they're gonna be a little bit tinier than yours, or 027. Overland Transportation System asks, Cory, how many DNH Locos do you have in your roster? Congratulations on the 600 milestone. Now for O scale, I have 3 DNH Locos. I have my 460 Camelback 548. I have my Delaware and Hudson RS3, and I have my Delaware and Hudson U36Bs. That's everything I have for O scale. And then for HO, I have my DNH RS3, I have my DNH GP38 7303. Don't worry, I plan to grow those numbers drastically. But that's all the DNH stuff I have right now, so great question, thank you. Trainstorm / Pierre Marquette Productions asks, what O gauge locomotive would you want to see made that hasn't been made already? Now, of course, me being a DNH junkie myself, I would absolutely love to see like Lionel make an accurate version. I'm not talking like weird paint or anything. I'd love to see a 100% accurate version of the DNH's 484 Northerns. Those are some of my favorite steam locomotives. just because they look so sleek, they look so fast, they look big and powerful too. And then the smoke deflectors, I love it. I'd love to see someone make an accurate version, because if there's one slight thing wrong about it, I'd be like, oh. But yeah, I'd absolutely love to see a DNH 484 Northern made. It'd be so cool. Railfan Nate asks, congratulations on 600 subs, Cory. I have 2 questions. What is the most sentimental model train that you have in your collection? And number 2, if you had to go back in time to any time period, railroading wise, why would you go there and why? Where would you go and why? Keep up the amazing work. Now, the most sentimental model train in my collection, that would be my Blue Comet. That's because that was my grandfather's, of course, like many of my trains are, but that train was my grandfather's, and I have so many good memories of him and I running that thing around the layout collectively together. It was both our favorite train he had, and I have a lot of good memories with that one specifically. Other trains I don't remember as much, but I always remember the lovely, cool look of the Blue Comet going around. So that's my favorite locomotive I have, or like most sentimental wise, because when I think of my grandfather, I think of the Blue Comet. And then if I had to go back in time to any time period, I would probably go to the year 1940. And then I'd go to Boston Spa, because I'd love to see the pre-World War II trains, yet DNH steam right after the 30s. Good old GFW Trains asks, if you could have one piece of railroad memorabilia, what would it be? Congrats on 600. Now, there's a lot of things, like, how would I not love a locomotive? That's railroad memorabilia, but the thing is something I could have in my basement. I would absolutely love to have an old Griswold searchlight signal right back there, because all around here back in the 50s and 60s, the searchlights were so common. You'd see them everywhere, all the Griswold searchlights. I love vintage railroad things in general, but I'd absolutely love to have an old DNH or Boston, Maine searchlight right back there, and have it working too, so I could have the colors change every 2 minutes. That'd be so much fun to have a signal. I railroad signal in general would be super cool, but a searchlight with that type of history of being like kind of local and then being DNH or Boston, Maine, it'd be so cool to have something like that. So if I could have any piece of railroad memorabilia in my house right now, it'd be a searchlight signal. Bengals 444T asks, when did you first get interested in trains? Have you rode Amtrak, and what was your favorite railroad as a kid? Now, like I said, I've been in trains really since I was born. Yes, I have rode Amtrak, but it's been a super long time, so I can't really remember it too well. Just remember looking out the dirty window. And then what was my favorite railroad as a kid? That's a kind of tough one, because I didn't really like now I love DNH, but I think back then, if you would have asked me, I either would have said Canadian Pacific and DNH, but I didn't know those railroads very well. The Texas Trainmaster 2248 says, howdy, congratulations on 600 subscribers. I'm happy for you, and my question is, what is your favorite Texas railroad, and what is your favorite train set you currently have in your collection? My favorite train I have in my collection is, of course, my Blue Comet, like I said, because it's a very sentimental piece. I love it so, and how can you not like the Lionel Blue Comet? But favorite Texas railroad, that's a kind of tough one, because I'm pretty sure we're going off of tourist railroads here. So I really like the Texas State Railroad just because they have so much vintage equipment, but Grapevine Vintage Railroad's really nice too, because they have, again, so much cool vintage railroad equipment. So it's really kind of hard, because I haven't been to Texas. Hopefully one day I can get down there, but I can't really choose, but I'd probably say the Texas State Railroad or Grapevine Vintage Railroad, because they both have a bunch of cool stuff. Isaiah Hawkins says, congratulations on 600 subscribers. Also, I got 2 questions. Is there any other gauge that you would like to collect, and what would it be? And then what is your favorite set that you own? So boom, we'll tackle that other one, Blue Comet. And then I think I'd really like to get an N scale, just because it's so small you can really store it anywhere. And that and N scale is pretty large as a hobby. It's like probably the 3rd most popular scale that people hobby. And there's a lot of unique stuff for N scale too that you don't really get with O scale or HL. So I'd love to start N scale. Chessy John Productions asks, congratulations, and how many model trains do you have in total? CSX Railfan 45 says, great video, congrats on 600 subs. What's your favorite old and modern railroad company? So again, my favorite old railroad company is the Delaware and the Hudson, 100%. Then my favorite modern railroad company around here is going to be Norfolk Southern. Carrie from Riverline Productions says, congrats, man. I guess my question would be, What's your favorite freight train catch to date? Now, my favorite freight train catch was probably D45 a few weeks, probably well over a month ago. But with that CMQ barn leading, that thing was so cool. I was so happy when I saw that blue wrap the corner. I'm like, yeah! So that's probably my favorite. That, and the CMQ barns have not been down here since that day. So, and they probably won't be down here ever again. So it's my favorite catch because it's a very rare locomotive. Great question, Cory. Thank you very much. My boy, Joey, Train Whisperer Production. Not way too many questions. I said under 20. So, Joey, you're fine. But Joey says, wow, 600 came so fast, LOL. Of course, you know, I'm about to ask many questions. Congrats, dude. Road to 1K. Questions will be in the response question. So, let's get to that. Oh my god. Favorite GE engine? My favorite would probably be the AC 4400 CW. I like them. You see them here and there. They're not Gevos, so that's already a plus. But yeah, they're a very common locomotive. You kind of see them on all the other railroads, and they get the job done. So I have a lot of classical GE locomotives I like too. Like, of course, you can't go wrong with the 44 tonner. It's absolutely adorable. And then the U-boats may have not been the best performance-wise. I think they were still very memorable locomotives. Favorite EMD engine? That's a tough one. I really like my SD70 ACUs or ACEs. Favorite fallen flag? DNH. Favorite railroad is still around in 2020. That's a kind of hard one. The Canadian Pacific, now that I think about it, because they've been around for such a long time and they have an interesting history. So I think that they're a very cool railroad just for the history alone, and then many operations, of course, today. But I think my favorite railroad that's been around like for a very long time would probably be Canadian Pacific. Favorite steam engine? Oh, I have 3 favorite steam locomotives. I cannot pick one over the other, but it would be Strasburg 7002, the 442 Atlantic. I love that thing. It would be Chesapeake and Ohio 490, aka the Yellow Belly. And then it would be DNH 302, which was, it's not a DNH Northern, but it was a Reading T1 dressed up, but still, I love that thing so much. It's so cool. Favorite horn is probably gonna be like the RS5L. I think it has a cool thunderous sound, or like the king of train horns. Will you ever do a train tour trip where you would go down to the CSX River Line, Railfan, New Jersey Transit, Northeast Corridor, and just places in the tri-state area for your 1,000 subscriber special? If not, I think you should in the future. That's the thing right now. I don't know, because anything could happen at any minute. We could get either more restrictions for where we can and can't go, or less restrictions. So really, I have to play it by ear. It'd be fun to do that. See what other places have to offer versus like NS, CP, and CSX all the time. There's no definitive yes or no. Will you ever make a modern HO or O scale layout? Now that I think about it, maybe when I'm like 50 years old or something, I'd be like, oh, you know, I want to relive old railroad history and, like, you know, make the 2010 CP mainline or something like that. So maybe. There's no yes or no again to that question too. Do you like Dash 8s? I mean, again, they pretty much get the job done. While they may not be the best, while they may not be the best things on earth, they get the job done, and they're a train. They're at least not a truck or a plane that's like getting rid of trains. So if it's a train, I like it. Will you ever railfan in New Jersey or on the CSX River Sub? Again, I really don't know what this restrictions. Will you ever railfan in Canada? Again, especially Canada, I'm not sure. It'd be fun with these restrictions. I really don't know. I'd love to do that though. And then that's all your questions. So yeah, thank you for those many questions, Joey. Richard Greenberg says, congratulations on 600 plus. Question, do trains run better on a newer flat rail track than older tubular track? That's a question because it kind of depends on your experience, because there's like thousands and thousands of guys, and I know quite a few who hate fast track, and then there's lots of guys who hate tubular track too. So really, it kind of depends on you. For me, fast track hasn't let me down, but although it's far from the best system. Flat track is pretty smooth, like, you know, in tubular track, sometimes you have the gaps in the track that won't press together. So fast track, it most of the time closes that, so it makes for a pretty smooth operation. So I guess that's, or especially Gargraves is very smooth. I love Gargraves, it's a super good track. That's such a tough question because tube track's been around for such a long time and it works just as well as the day it was made as long as you maintain it. Versus these newer tracks is once they kind of have a problem, they're kind of done for. So really, I would kind of say it's a 50-50. It really depends on what you get. And then Daniel's B-Mint-G Monster Jam says, what is the worst place to Railfan, whether it be due to annoying people, lighting, or both? And there's spots I don't go. I think my least favorite spot, if I was forced to catch a train around here, would probably be the tracks right at Kearney's. Not because there's nobody bad there, not at all, but you can't see the train until it's right there. So it's hard to get that shot because I don't want to get too close to the tracks of course, because if I fall over and in the direction, I'm dead. But you can't see the train, the trees are just covered really everything right around, so you can't see the train at all until it's right there. And wow, that was it. I've been sitting here for well over 40 minutes reading all this, but again, thank you all so much for asking these questions. It was so much fun reading and answering all these and kind of seeing what you guys want to know about me. So I'll definitely do another Q&A in the future, probably after 1,000 subscribers, of course. But yeah, thank you all very much for leaving some questions down below. And yeah, that marks another subscriber special, so thank you all for 600 subscribers. And anyways, I'll see you guys in the next video, so stay tuned. Bye-bye.